Chloride's kind of a tough thing. It's tough to treat. We don't have very good options for removing it from our lakes. Reverse osmosis is one way that you can remove it, but does anybody see that happening on a large scale? And then it produces wastewater which contains salt. What do you do with that? So that's a problem. Evaporation is another way that we can remove salt. That's probably not, we're not going to all be out there evaporating our lakes, drying them up and removing the salt somehow, so that's not going to work either. So what we have to focus on is source control, trying to prevent it from getting in there in the first place. You know, I don't think we can ban the use of salt. We're not quite ready for that yet. We need safe roads. We need safe surfaces. Maybe someday that may happen if we continue to find our lakes to be and waters to be contaminated, but right now the public definitely demands safety, and we want to be out there, you know, in the middle of the snowstorm or immediately after. We're expecting the roads and everything to be clear, so we can't ban salt right now. So we got to find a way to at least to reduce it, and whether it's a local, state, county, government, private contractors, and individuals, we need to all try to reduce our salt use. So what we did was try to find a way to work with this public works group and also with private contractors to determine methods where we can still keep safe surfaces, safe roads and sidewalks and parking lots, but kind of do it more smartly so that we can reduce the amount that we use. And we developed a training program with some funding from the MPCA, both to do some research and development, try to figure out what's happening out there. I was the one out there in the middle of the night watching, observing what was happening when they had to do their work. I was happy that I didn't have to do that on a regular basis. And we also put together a group of technical experts to work on developing the training as well. And first we did some trial training classes and got some feedback from those that attended. And then we decided, you know, we need something more than just handouts. We need to develop this handbook, and that's when we put together another technical advisory group and developed this whole training manual, which I'll tell you how you can get. If you go to the website here, the Pollution Control Agency's website, www.pca.state.mn.us, and just /RoadSalt, or just go to PCA's website and search RoadSalt, you'll get right to this. And you can download this manual, and you can also download one that we worked on for roads. This one's for parking lots and sidewalks, and this one's for roads. So that there's a lot of information out there on how we can reduce our use of salt. And I had a lot of great partners that collaborated on that training. As I mentioned, we had some funding from MPCA. Then we had a second round of 319 funds, you know, which were from EPA through the MPCA, to be able to take it on the road. Once we refined it, after the trial trainings, we did 26 workshops around the state, plus some other ones that were kind of privately funded, another dozen of those, and then presentations like this to try to bring that information out. And we're just at the end of that cycle right now, finished up doing all our workshops. Lots of different partners were involved, either in hosting workshops or providing MnDOT with a speaker. We usually had them help us out, and others with funding and assistance. Usually it's we had two different instructors, an environmental professional, usually myself or my business partner, Connie Fortin, and then a winter maintenance professional. So somebody that's actually driven a plow and can answer those kind of questions. And we have instructor Kathy Schaefer from MnDOT and the CTAPS program, and Tom Broadbent, who's a former MnDOT plow driver, and it was also worked for a company that supplied de-icing chemicals. So we had a couple different plow drivers that instructed with us, so that we were able to answer questions and get feedback kind of from the technical as well as the environmental end of things. One of the things we decided to do is add a certification to this, and one of the reasons we did this was because this training was focused more on the private companies. MnDOT did quite a bit training already for their plow drivers, and also the CTAP program through the Center for Transportation Studies brings Circuit Training and Assistance Program, that stands for, brings the training out to local governments. So there's some of that available, although we worked with them to add some environmental components to that too. And we needed some way to try to get the private companies to come to training. How do you get them to come? Nobody's paying them to come. This is something that they can use as a marketing thing to say, you know, I'm certified in this. And I think it has helped somewhat to get them to attend the training. And it's a volunteer certification, so it's not the same as some of the MPCA's certification programs, but it's something to show that they not only have attended the training, they also have to pass a test, and they have to sign sort of a pledge that they're going to try some of these practices. So that is now in place, and we've, I think we have about 2,000, if I'm remembering correctly, 2,000 people that are certified now. What do we cover? What do we teach them that they can use to reduce the amount of salt and materials that they use? This is kind of the agenda that the book follows. Kind of how are they going to prepare for winter? What is it they have to do once to take action, either before or during a snowstorm or after a snowstorm? How do they evaluate what they did and did it work? What sort of rates should they be using? How much should they really be applying? And what are some resources they can go to if they want to find out more information? And then at the end, the certification test is optional. Most people do take it. So what else is in the training? We think one of the best, or the most useful best management practices is attitude, a positive attitude, a willingness to change. Sometimes we hear that, you know, so-and-so's, my supervisor's been, you know, in this position for 30 years and he won't let us change. Unfortunately, sometimes it may take retirement before they're going to get some changes. But there's a lot of people that never get to hear the environmental message. I think the environmental professionals and the public works professionals don't often talk to each other. So this is kind of a whole new area where we were able to come in with this new information that they had never heard. And you'll find that a lot of the ones that work in the public works sector or as private contractors are often the ones that are really interested in hunting and fishing. And they do care about the environment. And they don't know, nobody ever told them that what they were doing is harmful to the environment. And some of them are just, you know, really shocked and, oh my gosh, I can't keep doing this. And they are willing to try and change. Try new things. So we talk a lot about some of the best management practices, ways to reduce salt use, but also we talk about how it can save money, because for private, especially for private contractors, that's going to be an issue. You know, is it going to be effective for them? Can they still make a living doing this if they're not able to sell as much of their, you know, use as much of the product? We talk a lot about the environmental impacts. Like I already kind of introduced you to what are some of the environmental impacts. And then ways, how can they really reduce their salt use without causing a decrease in safety?